Jason Buttrill is with us now. Hello, Jason.
Hello.
How are you, sir?
Well, I was fine until you kind of read off that little list of everything going on in the world.
Is that what?
Yeah, I was good until then, but aren't you glad that the grown-ups are not at the table?
Oh, I am.
Great.
I am. It's really good. Boy,
Awesome.
we're being taken seriously around the world now.
Yes, and every time I think that I'm done looking at Ukraine, they just pull me right back in. I just get pulled right back in.
It's like Godfather 3. I was just about out, and they pulled me back in.
This is interesting. So this came out, I think it was in the New York Times, that U.S. intelligence has now said that 170,000 Russian troops.
Yes.
They'll be involved in an invasion. They're saying as early as 2022. That's in a few months. Anytime in a few months. So like basically tomorrow, they're saying this could happen. And it's a big deal. And normally I would think, I don't think Putin would pull that trigger.
Oh, yeah, he is.
I think he's definitely at that point.
Of course he will.
And you can't blame him. You look at the things that, I never would have thought Afghanistan would happen. It did happen. And normally I'd give our leaders the benefit of the doubt on, well, something must have happened. No, I think that they're just actually incompetent. And I also think that they don't care because I think they want America to return to that mediocre, less than mediocre status. I think that's what they are. Oh,
by the way, this portion of the program brought to you by the Let's Go Brandon sweatshirt. Let's Go Brandon, available now at shop.theblaze.com.
Or the actual address, shop.blazemedia.com, where you can use the code Glenn20 for 20% off.
Or Walmart.com. I'm sure they've got something, too.
I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
All right. What is it? Shop.theblaze?
No.
Oh.
Shop. Dot. Blazemedia.
Blazemedia.com. And that's spelled DOTCOM. Anyway, Jason, go ahead.
I need a promo code. I need a personal promo code.
Glenn20.
Glenn20.
Yeah.
You look at some of the things that they've done that have completely undermined our ability to just even keep stability without having to send armed forces. Things that we would not do if you were being serious. Things that were done in the Trump administration, but he never got credit for. Like green-lighting the pipeline that would completely circumvent Ukraine, Nord Stream 2.
Yep.
We were like, why is he doing this? Like, what is he working on some other kind of backroom deal? Like if Trump would have done this, they would have said, he's
working with the Russians.
Working with the Russians. Putin's bought him,
Yeah.
But Biden did that, and it completely kind of gave up the Trump card that Ukraine had in some kind of stability. Because the only thing stopping Putin from just rolling straight through, if he wanted to, was he would be just as decimated as Ukraine would be, economically. But now that's gone away.
And all of these Eastern Bloc countries that were on the edge, Poland, Transylvania, and others, they're begging us. They're all saying, this is trouble. You can't let him take the Ukraine, please, because he's threatening all of them.
Yeah, the Ukrainian defense minister, this is how dire they see their situation right now, just said, I think yesterday, that he wants U.S., Canadian, and British troops.
Not a chance.
An actual physical presence on the front line to deter what's about to happen. So they see this. They see the writing on the wall. They see this is coming.
It is coming, but we're not coming.
So there's 70,000 troops on the border right now. That's a conservative estimate. There could be as much as 90,000. That 170,000 troops, and to put these numbers into context, that's more than the entire United Kingdom military, not just military, army, Marines, whatever, the entire military.
Wow.
That's the type of numbers we're looking at here.
That's how weak England is, and we haven't taken them yet?
Right? We need to correct that.
I mean, that's ridiculous. We could have that
right
whole
for the taking.
The Queen would be ours.
Yes, I see this as similar to, if you want to look at this in context, like a 2008 Georgia situation. Now, I think that Putin did that specifically because of Ukraine. What was going on in Ukraine? That's when you started seeing those color revolutions popping up.
Which George Soros and our State Department was part of.
Right, exactly. And and was a part of through 2014.
Yep.
But it was a direct message for him to say, look, if you think that you're going to take a country that we believe is ours, if you think NATO and the United States can protect you, they can't. What are they going to do? They're trying to get in bed with Georgia. We'll just invade Georgia. They did it. We couldn't do a thing about it. It's exactly the same thing that's going to happen to Ukraine. Now is the time for him to deliver that message. If you believe anywhere in the world that a U.S. guarantee of security means anything at all,
no.
And think of that, Taiwan, Japan, any of these Eastern Bloc countries that we say, don't worry, we got you, bro. Let's see what they're going to do.
Australia. If they take Taiwan, everything is on the table. Everything is on the table. And I mean, Mr. Neocon, Jason, I'm sure you want war all the time, but I don't want to go into Ukraine. But I'm telling you, the result is going to be they're going to take Ukraine. They'll just start moving forward, because once you let Ukraine go, China will take Taiwan because we're sending the signal the United States is done.
And now you see one of the other tragedies of Afghanistan. Mm-hmm. We told them we'd be there for them. We'd protect the people that we said that we were going to protect, and instead said no. I mean, I'm not saying, and no, I don't want war. I don't want U.S. troops to go into Ukraine.
We've gone over and over on this. I want to stop being everywhere all the time.
Absolutely.
I want to be where we should be strategically with a very big stick. And we're sitting back going, no, don't do that.
Right, but there's things diplomatically that we can do to ensure that these things don't come to a head, that the administration is just bungling, like Nord Stream 2. Why would you do that? Those are the things that ensure that our men and women don't have to go fight.
Correct.
Those types of things, but they're not doing them. They're going in the opposite direction. So it makes you wonder, I mean, are they that stupid? Probably yes.
Yes. But they also are that anti-American.
Yeah, and that is the global agenda right now, is to mediocre the entire world. We are too powerful. Our own countrymen don't like that. They want us to take a few shots. They want us to step back more and more and more. Not in the way that like we want to step back and recede, but
I want to step back without making the world more dangerous.
Yeah.
And you can do that. You just have to realize it's been 100 years in the making. It's going to take a few years and really good strategic planning to be able to back out.
Yeah.
And we need to be backing out, but not giving the world over to Russia and China.
Right. I love to put these things in the context of the adversary and to see, because I think a lot of people are asking me on Twitter, what is the goal here? Why is Russia doing this? And I've done a lot of research on Ukraine through the years for you. We did this, I think, in 2014-ish or something like that, talking about when Crimea was invaded.
Right, and this is the soul. This is the spiritual soul of Russia.
There would probably be no Russian nation without Ukraine.
Yeah.
That's how serious it is for them. And I think most Russians don't want a prolonged fight. But there was a very large nationalized, population in Russia that they see that's how they feel. And Putin knows this. And they always do this throughout the centuries. Every leader knows how to turn up the dial on nationalism, whether it's the Orthodox Church, whether it's like Ukraine, Belarus. They know what to do. The thing that's scary now is Putin's hitting up all of them right now.
Is he hitting up the Orthodox Church?
Hitting up the Orthodox Church.
That's really dangerous.
Belarus, which they believe is Russia, and Ukraine, which they believe is Russia. So they're turning those dials. Look, so what's going to happen? I think that's the big question right now. What happens if they invade? I see a couple of different outcomes. Now, we could see exactly the same thing as we saw in Crimea. Basically, Russia was already there, so all they did was send in their little green men.
Yep.
There was not much shots fired, and they just took it. Right now, Russia already is involved in a hot war in eastern Ukraine. It's not reported anywhere, which is a tragedy. Ukrainians are dying, probably daily. Nobody reports on it, and it's been going on since 2014. It's one of the sadder things in the world right now.
It's one of the reasons why the guy from Gazprom was, when we looked at, where, not Gazprom, the one that Hunter Biden was with.
Oh, Burisma?
Yeah, Burisma. One of the things that guy was doing was building an army on the Russian front, if you will, in Ukraine. He was using some of that money that we gave to Burisma. It just suddenly disappeared, and we had evidence that some of that money was going to fight that war. It's been going on and on and on and on. And we just can't decide which side we're on.
Yeah, a billionaire governor. That was absolutely insane. And I mean, we were working with them. The people that are in the administration right now, Biden, the point man for Ukraine, they know Russia. I mean, Putin is a very vindictive guy, right? He wants revenge. He knows that those people in power were the ones that facilitated the taking of Ukraine from him.
Yeah.
So now is the time if you want to do something.
So what do you think that Biden is going to do?
He's kind of backed himself into a corner on this. I mean, it really was. He had some leeway with the pipeline, doesn't have that anymore. So he has a call with Putin tomorrow. They're supposed to call and discuss Ukraine. This is tomorrow. This is Tuesday, so everyone needs to watch this.
Can you imagine what that's going to be like?
So embarrassing. I mean, so you hear him talk about any of this stuff, you just feel like, as much as we don't like him and for his policies, it's terrifying as a nation to have a guy at the wheel who's literally asleep. I mean, he's falling asleep in these meetings. At least there's some reporting on that.
And to be on the phone with Putin. Putin is, I mean, he was playing three-dimensional chess. He plays that kind of chess, in his sleep.
Against someone who's sharp, he's difficult to defeat. Here's a situation where you have someone who is as dull as dullards can be.
But you know what? I would rather have Biden dealing with him than Kamala. Can you imagine Kamala Harris on the phone with Putin?
This is just,
oh my gosh.
This is terrible option versus terrible option.
Would she just cackle and dance or something like that when she was like, I don't know how to answer. But to answer your question, I think that he's going to be forced into big concessions on that call tomorrow. What
are the concessions?
I know that they don't want any kind of NATO involvement in Ukraine whatsoever. That's a big red line for him. He's going to have to back down, or hopefully he can convince the rest of NATO to back down.
Well, if he backs down, if NATO decides to back down, does he still go in and take Ukraine?
Yes, I believe he will anyway.
Oh my gosh!
Well, I mean, they basically already control it, but the final step will just be, and this, I think the best case scenario is he just moves his troops into eastern Ukraine, formally annexes, and waits for his next, move further into Ukraine.
Yeah, all he has to do is really go and sow the seeds of chaos in Ukraine. I mean, that is the playbook of the former Soviet Union. And then he can just go in with his tanks and saying, I'm just repatriating and I'm just trying to keep the peace in Ukraine because it's so out of control.
Right. Yeah, and I say best case scenario. That's only best case, not for Ukraine, but best case for the immediate, no bloodshed scenario. That happens, and it's a Crimea Part 2.
So then let me take you to the next phase. That happens first. Now let's go to China and Iran, and we'll do that in 60 seconds. So let's say he goes in and he just annexes Ukraine, and we do nothing, and NATO does nothing. What does that tell China?
It tells them exactly what they learned from Afghanistan, that a U.S. guarantee in them certain areas means nothing. Threats mean nothing. And the Taiwan thing is a whole lot larger, I think, for the immediate.
Taiwan is a knockout punch for the Western world because they are the number one maker of chips. China is number two. If China takes Taiwan, they dwarf everybody, and you don't have chips for, 80% of what we need chips for.
Taiwan and Ukraine are very interesting because they're kind of similar in the fact that those are American interests that will draw the United States into a larger war. I'll explain as quickly as I can. But the last time someone went after the middle part of Central Europe, Ukraine, those other countries, the United States has gone to war to fight to make sure they don't control that area. It's one of the largest resource areas in the world that can challenge the United States. That's what brought us into World War I, World War II. And the Cold War because of that. So that's a prelude to something larger. And Taiwan is the same thing. If China controls Taiwan, they're going to move on and try to take over the Pacific. That is U.S. interest.
You and I have talked about this for years, that the ground is being laid for World War III, the next global conflict. And we're seeing it right now. It is Ukraine and Taiwan. It's those two that are going to play, or I should say, Russia and China. That is the Axis power.
Yeah.
And I think they think the time to do it is right now. And I quite honestly, I think they're right. Do you have faith in the leadership at of the Pentagon?
No. No.
I mean, I would not put my son in the military now. No way. No way do I want my son in the military if that's the leadership. We'll get him killed. Get him killed. So I have no faith in the administration. I have no faith in the Pentagon. And I think Russia and China know that because we are absolutely a paper tiger right now.